Bishop David Oyedepo has many sons in ministry, but some stand out more than others. Why? Well, that's a discussion for another day. We all know about God's servant Dr. Paul Enenche. We've heard about Pastor David Ibiome. Yes, but there's one name that has been making waves lately. Pastor Korede Komaiay, also known as Pastor KK. He's been trending, right? I recently came across his story, and trust me, it's really fascinating. I discovered some incredible things you need to see. You are going to love this video. So sit back, relax, and let's dive in. Pastor KK was once a pastor in Living Faith Church, Winners Chapel, but he left by divine leading to start his own ministry, the Master's Place. Amongst all the pastors who have branched out from Bishop David Oyedepo's ministry, Pastor Korede stands out. He played his cards right. I'm telling you. And in this video, I will show you how it all happened. Just like his spiritual father, Bishop Oyedepo, Pastor KK is currently building a mega auditorium as well, worth millions of dollars. Yes. So come along as we take a journey back in time to explore the story of Pastor Korede Komaiay. So Pastor Korede started as a regular student at Ogun State University, where he encountered Christ. As time went on, he felt a strong calling to ministry. After graduation, he served as an assistant chaplain during his NYSC. But guess what? He was suspended in just 6 months due to his radical Christian life, particularly his unwavering opposition against cultism on campus. After completing NYSC, the Lord led him to Bishop David Oyedepo for ministerial training. He attended the Bible school at Winners Chapel for 1 month and later joined the ministry as a minister. Following 3 additional months of training, he was ordained into full-time ministry on April 3rd, 1996. That's when things got real. His first major assignment was in Chad, where he was sent as an assistant pastor to establish Winners Chapel. The church gave them $10,000 to cover salaries, rent, and other expenses in Chad. That sounds like a lot of money, right? But unfortunately, soon as they arrived, they were robbed. All their money gone. It was so embarrassing that they could not call the headquarters for help. What would you do in that kind of situation? Give up? Complain? Not Pastor Korede and his senior pastor. They went ahead in faith. They preached, prayed, and guess what? Revival broke out so much that they even converted the Prime Minister of Chad to Christianity. Yes. The revival was so incredible that Bishop Oyedepo had to send in people from the headquarters to confirm this unbelievable progress. But ladies and gentlemen, despite his success in Chad, many more difficult tests and trials were still to come in the ministry. If you are enjoying this video already, please do well to leave a like on it. Now let's go further. When it was time for Pastor Korede to get married, he had no money. He had to borrow a wedding dress for his wife. He couldn't afford to pay for food. He couldn't afford to get a suit. But out of nowhere, someone gave him a suit. Someone else gave him a car to help with mobility. And just like that, the wedding happened. Later, he was posted back to Nigeria to a place called Ijebu-Ode and later transferred to his hometown called Ijebu-Gbo. Then Bishop David Abioye, one of the top senior ministers in the commission at that time, jokingly told him, "We have moved you to your hometown so that if you fail, You won't need to pack your bags to Lagos. You can simply just move into your family house. At that time, the church in Oyedepo was struggling and on the verge of being shut down. However, within 9 months, things turned around and the church experienced tremendous growth. Over time, Bishop David Oyedepo began to recognize his remarkable achievements. Then he was sent to Mali to revive a struggling church. When he got there, he met a fellow Nigerian pastor who had been in Mali for 5 years with little success. The pastor lamented that Mali was spiritually difficult, but Pastor Korede remained confident. He boldly declared that he would succeed where others had failed. Despite his faith, the initial growth at Mali was slow. The church struggled to surpass 100 members. However, God gave him a unique strategy to hold a special healing program at a 5-star hotel without any indication that it was a church event. Interesting, right? He did exactly that, and the plan worked. People attended in large numbers, and before they realized it was a church gathering, miracles had already begun breaking out. By the end of the program, several hundred new members had joined the church. This experience taught him a crucial lesson. Every place requires a unique strategy for breakthrough. Following this success, he was sent to Sokoto, Nigeria, where a Winners Chapel church had been stagnant for 12 years. Applying the same strategies that worked in Mali, he turned things around within a year. From there, he was moved to Ogbomoso and later to Gaborone, Botswana. But before he could even start in Botswana, the resident pastor he was to replace warned him. He said, "Pastor Kiki, don't preach about giving here. In fact, don't even give, because it does not work here." But Pastor Korede was unmoved. He believed giving works everywhere when taught with revelation. After taking care of some essentials, he was left with just $800 for the rest of his expenses. But God instructed him to sow it into the church to buy chairs for more members. Though it made no logical sense, he had no funds left for his children's school fees or monthly expenses. But he obeyed, and suddenly the church's attendance began to grow. However, he still had no money for the school fees. Then one day, a woman gifted him a brand new Honda Accord 1996 model. He was amazed, but asked her to go home and think about it again. Despite that, she came back the next day with the same determination to give him the brand new car. And so, he accepted it with joy and told his wife they would sell the car to cover the school fees. But what happened next would shock you. The Holy Spirit reminded him of his commitment to always give the first fruits of everything he received. Oh my God, it was so difficult. But without hesitation, he and his wife decided to give the car to God. Now, what you're about to hear next might shock you, but don't argue about these facts because it truly happened. Shortly after, he received his first salary in Botswana, and there again, the Holy Spirit reminded him to give it as a first fruit offering. Once again, it was tough as he and his family needed this money, but he still obeyed. Then came the biggest shock. What followed was nothing short of miraculous. Within a year, he received 32 cars from people in Botswana. Many also gave him financial gifts in abundance. The giving was so extravagant that Botswana's law enforcement agencies investigated him, suspecting he was using charms to manipulate people. This same land, where giving was said not to work, had now become a place of supernatural provision. Now, this final phase of the story is very important. You cannot afford to miss any second. Here is what happened. After years of serving Bishop David Oyedepo, God began to speak to Pastor KK about launching his own ministry. But there was one problem. How would he tell Bishop David Oyedepo? God said, don't resign. You will lose your relationship with him. But wait, I would make him open the door for you to go. So he waited, and then, out of nowhere, Bishop Oyedepo shocked everyone. During a specific leaders meeting at the headquarters, Bishop Oyedepo said, many of you have received vision from God to start your own ministries, but you are afraid to tell me. So anyone who has been in Winners Chapel for over 7 years, I sack you all. If you have a vision from God to start a ministry, bring it to me so that I can release you. If not, reapply again to join the ministry. And just like that, Pastor KK was free to start his ministry. But the story was not over yet. Since he did not reapply, Bishop David Oyedepo later called him and said, you must reapply, you must reapply. And Pastor KK said, okay sir, your wish is my command. I am ready to do whatever you say. Bishop then replied, okay, give me some time to pray about this. I'll get back to you, and whatever God reveals to me, that is what I'll do. Later, Bishop Oyedepo called in tears, saying, God has told me to release you. He is the one sending you, and I must not hinder you. And from there, he was officially released to start his own ministry. However, what happened next was completely unexpected. One would expect his own church to grow quickly, given his success at various Winners Chapel branches he had pastored before. But something unexpected happened instead. Let's get into it. He started his own church in Ogbomoso, Nigeria. But after 2 years, God told him to move to Delta State. It was a very tough time for him as he struggled to grow and could not quite figure out what was going on. For 2 whole years, nothing seemed to work, and on top of that, he had not seen Bishop David Oyedepo during that time, which slowly created some distance between them. As time went on, Pastor KK was invited to speak at a church conference in Lagos. After the conference, the Lord instructed him to visit Bishop David Oyedepo and give him all the money he received in that conference as an honorarium. Pastor Korede followed God's command. He went straight to the headquarters, had a meaningful conversation with Bishop Oyedepo, and honored him by giving him the full amount he received from the conference. And then Bishop Oyedepo prayed a simple prayer. Lord, now that he has come to tell me he is in Delta State, let Delta State help him. Ladies and gentlemen, that simple prayer made all the difference. When Pastor Korede returned to Delta, things exploded. The growth was unbelievable, and it was clear that a major shift had taken place. So what's the secret to Pastor Korede's success? It's all tied to one word: honor. You see, despite the fact that he has left Bishop Oyedepo for a long time, he has never turned against his spiritual father. All through his service in Winners Chapel, he stayed patient, he remained faithful and humble. You see, too many people want success overnight. They do not want the process. But Pastor Korede was willing to go through the fire and become made in the process. And because of that, God took him to levels he never imagined. After all, if you are not faithful in that which belongs to others, who would give you yours? Today, he is abundantly blessed and continues to make a powerful impact in ministry. Oh yes. So if you learned something from this story, hit that like button and tell me in the comments what part of his journey amazed you the most. I have a story you can't afford to miss. Go ahead to click this video on your screen and watch it right now. As always, I celebrate you.